Teachers of Reddit, what's the difference between 1997, 2007, and 2017 students? I teach English at a rural high school. The biggest issue for 2017 students is that they have almost zero self-confidence. I don't know if this is a product of culture, or if this is just a fluke with my students. However, they are unwilling to try anything challenging or new without an extreme amount of one-on-one guidance. And that's very difficult to give in a classroom of 30. Edit. Dang, this blew up. Nice to hear I'm not alone in noticing this. 1997, you won't always have a calculator with you everywhere you go in life. 2017, before beginning the test, every student must disable the multifunction calculator that goes with them everywhere in life. 97, quit passing notes. 07, quit texting. 17, are you seriously watching Netflix right now? Not exactly what you're looking for, but I have a story to share. My father graduated high school in the mid-60s. After graduation, he and a few friends rented a sailboat and went from the Carolina coast to the Bahamas. Young, free, healthy men spent a few days sailing, a week on the beach, and sailed home. When I graduated, shortly after 9/11, I tried to repeat this trip with a few of my friends. No one would rent their sailboat to a couple 18-year-olds. I guess societal trust has changed. We finally find one through a friend of my father and set sail for the Bahamas. 2 days in and we see a helicopter, then a Coast Guard vessel, then we're boarded by us government guys with guns who say, alright, boys, what is it today? You moving guns or drugs? After searching the boat for hours, and it's a tiny boat, and finding nothing, we are let go, but instructed to turn around and sail home under threat of arrest if we continued south. Yeah. So I guess things have changed a bit. My dad taught middle school from 1968 to 2004. When he retired, I asked him what changes he saw in students from the beginning of his teaching career to the end. He answered, the kids never changed. A teenager is always a teenager. The parents, however, changed dramatically. They used to respect teachers and side with us in disciplinary matters, but now they think their kids are perfect and we are wrong. Glad I'm getting out before it gets worse. As a college instructor, teaching all of them right now, taking those years as 1 year removed from HS graduation. 97, I'm taking school seriously to better myself and my career. 07, I should have not taken all those gap years. C's get degrees. 17, oh it if I don't get at least a master's I'm going to be made redundant by a robot. Senior pranks in 1997 were outlandish and acceptable. Senior pranks in 2007 were less common and more basic. In 2017, senior pranks are illegal. Going to sound like an old man here, but when I was in high school in 1997 we had a system where various teachers' aides would photocopy all of the notes, answer keys, homeworks, etc. and put into an unused locker. My whole class, even the future valedictorian, used that locker. And imagine cheating efforts have advanced since then. The difference between 2017 students and 2007 students is 10. The difference between 2007 students and 1997 students is also 10. No phones. Small phones. Big phones. 1997. Colorful hair and piercings. 2007. No colorful hair. Lots of tattoos. 2017. Colorful hair and tattoos. I teach in college. Oh, the other difference was 1997. No one talked about being gay. 2007. Students came out to me privately in my office. 2017. Students talk about being gay in class. Different consoles used to play Pokemon. I was a student in 1997 at the school I now teach at, so I can answer this one. 2017 students are infinitely more polite, harder working and more intelligent than my cohort ever was. They're much less likely to smoke. They don't drink cider on the playing field at lunchtime. And they don't sell each other itty weed in industrial quantities. I gather they sell each other excellent quality weed in very small quantities instead. It's a big secondary school on a fairly deprived estate. So these aren't exactly kids who go to etiquette classes after school. But I literally can't open a door by myself because some 16-year-old with mutton chops will spring out to open it for me. If I'd done that when I was at school, it would have been instant social death. Edit. Whoa. 90% of my all-time karma has come from this one comment. Also, RIP my inbox. Edit 2. Politer is not a word. Shame on me. I wasn't old enough to teach yet in 1997. I was 4 years out of high school, young and naive. In 2007, students were semi-glued to their phones, but the technology to integrate them into the classroom, Twitter accounts, Facebook, Snapchat, etc. wasn't there. Not was it encouraged in any way through administration. There was still a phones away rule, for the most part. The students in my tech courses at the college I was working were older, either getting recertified, new degrees, or simply enhancing their current skills with newer ones. I would put most of the ages in the late 20s to mid 30s. In 2017, I have young students right out of high school. It's rare now that I have an older student. Most of these students come in with at least basic knowledge of technology, hardware, software. But more often than not they are even more advanced than that. It's interesting how the tech group got so much younger and more skilled, while the older group, I don't know. Do they not move forward anymore? Are they switching to different careers? Graduated HS in 93. Taught middle school. I noticed a definite change regarding phone social media. Went through the whole adjustment of no one having a phone to trying to enforce rules about phones to just dealing with them. From a teacher's perspective, I'd like to smash the it out of their phones when they are using them in class. Kids think they are sneaky. Some are really not, anyway. Went from kids being decent about phones to now being cool and better about being polite about it. Definitely more parental involvement now as opposed to 10 years ago. I feel students today want to be told exactly what to do and won't risk trying to figure it out on their own. My husband just hired 2 assistants who are 22 and 23 in his job. He says they are constantly needing guidance for stuff they should be able to figure out on their own. It's just interesting that he is seeing it as well and has nothing to do with education. Students today are more aware of social issues. Most kids in 1997 weren't thinking about equality and immigration or anything political. Now kids are much more informed and mostly more tolerant. Kids today do not seem to care about being outside as much. Probably BC the media overdose has everyone convinced there's a pervert or murderer behind every bush. I find myself spending ridiculous amounts of time on my phone looking at Reddit and other digital entertainment. It is strange to realize how it feels like a waste of time. In 1997 this was not a problem. So, it is not just changing students. It is a change in all of us. Teaching has certainly become a lot cooler as far as the technology goes. Not so much with the administrative interference. The whole be cool stay in school thing seemed to work. I'm not a teacher but I used to volunteer as a middle school basketball coach. Kids take school more seriously than when I was a kid, which is a great thing. Devices and helicopter parenting, which doesn't mean parents who are intensely concerned about their children's futures, but parents who never leave their damn kids alone. 97. Little regard to terrorism. 07. Remember 9/11? 17. Can you explain what 9/11 was? I wasn't born yet. As a history teacher it's been interesting and difficult trying to instill the gravity of events to people who weren't even born at the time. I imagine it was a similarly strange scenario for teachers who taught during the attack on Pearl Harbor or the assassination of JFK. Strange to have major life events turn to just another historical story for kids within a few short years. At the same time, it gives me motivation to keep teaching with the same passion as if the events just happened so kids continue to understand its importance. 97. You can have the pager back at the end of the day. 07. You can have the cell phone back at the end of the day. 17. Okay. Everyone go to Google Classrooms on your tablets and pull up today's links. It's no longer frowned upon to be ducking your 1997 students. 97. Sarcastic. Grungy. Smoking more cigarettes. More cliquey and edgy. 07. Petty. Attention starved. Overwhelmed. But much nicer. 17 under so many layers of irony and memes they don't even know who they are anymore or care. There's no point in being creative or developing a personality. Anything you could think of has already been done. I actually had to analyze an infographic on this topic over the weekend for a university application process. This is the infographic I had to look at. Since I am an old fart who has been teaching during all of these years, I will give my impression. The main difference I see is in attention span and impulsivity. The 2017ers cannot focus on only one thing. If I am talking, they will be doing 10 other things. They have the attention span of a gnat and can't sit still for love nor money. But if I stop and ask what I just said, they can usually quote me word for word. I've seen an exponential increase in attention deficit and vestibular issues. But the really strange thing is they just don't seem curious. Maybe they are so bombarded with information they don't need to be. Where kids before would ask lots of questions, want to know and find out things. The 2017ers just seem like flatliners who could care less. Content knowledge has been watered down because they can just Google it. But they don't. If I had had Google at their age, I would have been in heaven. 2017ers can literally find out anything in the world they want to know at the touch of a few buttons. And they just can't be bothered, or can't still long enough to do it. There's one elementary teacher's take. Mom is a teacher for generally 3 to 5 year olds. I got this. Kids are certainly more abstract thinkers than they used to be. This was a project they did about food starting with P. 97, pineapple, pickles, 07, pecan, peanut, potatoes, pears, 17, purple lollipops, pigs in a blanket, pepperoni pizza. They're more likely to tell stories and negotiate. One kid roughly explained the concept of double jeopardy. You can't get in trouble for the same thing twice. To a teacher he was having a conversation with. One kid said that he wasn't hitting his classmate, but the wind pushed him hand when he was running. If they have a question that you can't, sometimes this means won't answer. They'll ask you to use your phone or the computer to find the answer. It seems like they're aware that information is very close at hand and no question doesn't have an answer. They don't take just because or no reason at face value anymore. I can't say with 100% confidence, but I bet kids weren't dabbing on teachers every day in 1997 and 2007. The smart kids are smarter and the dumb kids are dumber. Electronics. Hands down. They are the most wonderful gift and the biggest handicap at the same time. Too many students use them as crutches or distractions instead of using it as a tool. Am I the only one who's currently a student and not relating to the descriptions the teachers are giving about today's students? Like my classmates are incredibly rude and lazy, not diligent and polite. Karate instructor here. Different than a traditional school teacher, but I've seen some it. When I was a young student back in 1997, things were still pretty old school. We didn't have much as far as body protection for sparring. We didn't have regular water breaks during class. And for our black belt exam we were forced to go when we reached a certain rank and repeated until we passed. Took me 3 times to pass. My parents were okay with any and all discipline I received from my instructors. When I began to seriously teach in 2007, the kids would respect me for the most part. I had a few kids diagnosed with ADHD or something similar and I had to learn to adapt to them. No big deal. Now in 2017, I can say I've encountered a big shift in the past decade. Kids are more openly disrespectful to me, especially the teenagers. And the worst part is more parents take offense when I discipline their kids for inappropriate behavior. I'll usually just give them push-ups or have them sit on the side, but I guess that's just too much for some parents to handle. Also, it seems like more kids are being diagnosed with autism and so many parents like to just write off bad behavior to their disability, which is not entirely true. Cute anecdote. In 1994, I played a record in a class. When the record ended, one of the students asked me how to rewind it. Yesterday, I asked a student to play a CD and the student could not figure out how to get the CD to play. She kept pushing the tape deck play button. In just over 30 years we have archived 3 different music players. Not a teacher, but many in the family, elementary level, and they say the kids are basically the same, but the parents are so much worse. They're not involved in their child's education. Blaming the teacher for poor scores despite never even sitting down and reading a book with their kid. They don't follow through with discipline after their child misbehaves at school. The list goes on and on. I'm late to the party, but I've worked in a high school for a while. 1997? Better music, worse beer and no real grasp on technology. Heck, no real access to it either. Unless you were in a 15k modem in a computer lab. This mean less porn and much more face-to-face interaction. 2007? Collection of assholes. This was the zenith of bullying. My high school averages about 250 graduates each year. Of those 250, you would not want to be around 220 of them. Just entitled assholes. Still had flip phones. And not as much internet. Hello MySpace. That group took perverse pleasure in making someone's life miserable. Alcohol was huge, with old school keggers at every opportunity. A lot of prego girls. A lot of sex assault complaints. It was awful. 2017. The internet is king. Kids are remarkably better behaved, because they are kinder. Believe it or not. Kids will quickly rise to the defense of a trans person, or someone being bullied. Weed rules the intoxication market. You rarely hear about a party now. Mostly just 5-10 kids in a basement smoking up. My high school lost 5 kids from 2002 to 2006 in drinking and driving accidents. None since. Overall, this is a much nicer school to work in than 10 years ago. Now if the parents would just calm the duck down, most of these kids would work issues out themselves.